Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Newsbrowse News broadcast. According to CBS News, the U.S. House of Representatives has approved a new $8 billion military loan package for Ukraine. This legislative breakthrough was achieved through a rare procedural maneuver known as a discharge petition, which allows a majority of House members to bring a bill directly to the floor, bypassing opposition from the Republican leadership. The petition was initiated nearly a year ago by Democratic Representative Gregory Meeks. It finally secured its decisive 208th signature on May 13th when Independent Representative Kevin Kiley of California joined all House Democrats and 2 Republicans in signing it. Ultimately, the underlying legislation passed in a 226 to 195 vote, with more than a dozen Republicans defecting from their party line to support the measure. On the other hand, Democratic Representative Ilhan Omar of Minnesota voted against the bill despite having signed the petition. In addition to providing military loans, the legislation includes funding for Ukraine's post-war reconstruction, outlines new sanctions against Russia, and reaffirms the U.S. commitment to NATO. While the bill's future in the Senate remains highly uncertain, supporters hope this successful vote will pressure senators to take action. According to Al Jazeera, Israel has continued to carry out deadly airstrikes across Lebanon despite the announcement of a new U.S.-brokered ceasefire agreement between Lebanese and Israeli officials in Washington, D.C. Lebanon's health ministry reported that at least 3,526 people have been killed and 10,733 others injured in Israeli strikes since March 2. Meanwhile, Hezbollah chief Naim Qassem explicitly rejected the proposed truce, labeling it a farce. He warned that northern Israel will remain a target for Hezbollah fighters as long as Israeli military operations against Lebanon persist. In a related regional development, Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, declared that regional peace is unattainable until Israel completely withdraws from Lebanese territory, noting that any potential agreement between Tehran and Washington must also entail an end to the conflict in Lebanon. Additionally, in a significant domestic ruling, Israel's Supreme Court annulled a government ban that had previously blocked the International Committee of the Red Cross from visiting Palestinian prisoners held in Israeli detention facilities. According to a report by Leonid Zabal, Russian President Vladimir Putin has firmly rejected any mediation efforts by European leaders in the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Speaking at a meeting with heads of major international news agencies in St. Petersburg, Putin argued that European nations cannot act as neutral mediators since they are providing direct military assistance to Ukraine. Instead, Putin emphasized that the peace agreement he reached with U.S. President Donald Trump in Alaska could serve as the foundation for future negotiations. While European countries like Germany, France, and the UK have reportedly discussed pushing for peace talks, Putin stated that the European Union should focus on persuading Ukraine to accept a compromise rather than supplying weapons. He added that Russia does not oppose Ukraine joining the EU, provided it does not become a military alliance. Putin also highlighted the importance of Ukraine holding presidential elections, stating that Russia hopes to sign any final historic agreement with Ukraine's legal representatives. According to a report by CNA, Singapore Airlines, SIA, is in early-stage negotiations with global aerospace giants Airbus and Boeing to secure a major order of at least 50 of the aviation industry's largest passenger jets. The Southeast Asian carrier is looking to support its next phase of long-term growth, scheduled to begin in the next decade. SIA is currently evaluating proposals for either the 400-seat Boeing 777X, the largest twin-engine jet currently developed, or the slightly smaller Airbus A350 10,000. Industry sources indicate that the agreement could also include optional purchase rights for dozens of additional aircraft. SIA, well known for its meticulous and highly confidential fleet negotiations, has declined to comment on the talks, stating only that it regularly reviews its fleet renewal plans. Airbus and Boeing also declined to comment. The potential deal emerges as SIA continues to aggressively expand its flight capacity to capture resilient travel demand, even as some global competitors face scaling challenges and choose to trim schedules due to high fuel costs. Additionally, the discussions could assist Airbus in measuring market appetite for larger A350 variants, such as the proposed A350-2000. According to Kyodo News, government data released on Friday showed that Japan's real wages in April rose 1.9% from a year earlier, marking the fourth consecutive month of growth. This positive streak represents the longest period of continuous growth since a 7-month run starting in February 2021, driven by corporate efforts to offer higher pay to attract and retain talent in a tight labor market. Nominal wages, which represent average monthly cash earnings per worker, including base and overtime pay, grew by 3.5% to 312,425 yen. Nominals lettery. This marks 3 straight months of nominal wage growth exceeding 3% for the first time in over 34 years. Despite the steady rise in wages, private consumption remains sluggish. Separate data from the Ministry of Internal Affairs and Communications revealed that Japan's household spending in April edged down by a real 0.5% from a year earlier, with households of 2 or more people spending an average of 328,969 yen. Because private consumption accounts for more than half of Japan's gross domestic product, economists continue to closely watch whether higher wages will successfully translate into stronger consumer spending. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.